only support build currently played in PvP is Chronomancer with Rival. So today we're gonna take a look at how it's played and what gear and traits you should use. I'm Summer, and without much further ado, let's jump right in. Let's start with the gear. So you're full support, you want to heal as much as you can and sustain yourself as well. So you will want to run Avatar Amulet, which gives you healing power and vitality. You don't really care about the offensive stats, but that's the most of, let's say, healing you can get. Then you will, of course, want to run Relic of the Flock. We will get to why later, but it's a really strong relic. Gives you heal on your heal, so more healing on your healing skill every 10 seconds for you and your allies around you at 600 range. As well as if you cast it while you are full health or your allies are on full health, they will get barrier instead. So it's really strong in most of the situations. Then you will want to run Rune of the Guardian for even more healing power and much more toughness. Because you're a light armor class, so you will be quite squishy without any toughness. And like I said, you don't want any offensive stats, or you don't need them because you're only supporting the team. For weapons, the first weapon set is always the Rival. It's really important. It's the bread and butter of this build. And you will have Sigil of Energy and Sigil of Transference for some more dodges and, of course, a lot more healing to your allies. In your second weapon set, the main weapon is Sword, and in your offhand weapon you have Shield. There are multiple variants of this in the second weapon set, so you can either run Shield or Torch. Both of them are fine. Shield is, let's say, the more common used weapon because it gives you some blocks and some CC. But if you feel like you're getting focused a lot and a lot of enemy skills nowadays have unblockable, so you will get even hit through your block, you can run Torch so that you get some more stealth access on your force skill. But if you, as it's for most cases, this is good enough. If you want to be a little bit more experimental, you can also run Spear, because Spear has some nice mobility on it, but you will lose quite some, let's say, defensive skills that you have with Sword Shield. Also, your setup with your 3 and your 5 is really strong, because it will give you an emob and a stun, which you will not have on the other weapon sets, as easily as at least. Okay, so now to the skills. So you will have Mantra of Recovery, which is the main reason why the Flock Relic is so strong, because every time you use your mantra, you will get the Relic of the Flock proc, even if it's not, if it's just the, let's say, the not casting mantra, but the instant cast mantra, the power return. Every 10 seconds you will get the barrier again, and your allies as well. Then of course you want to have Blink, because you are support, and it's really important that you are with your team, and you need to be really fast all over the maze, or all over the map, and that's why you want to run with Blink. It's also your only stun break, so it's really important that you use it wisely. Furthermore, it's also, if you get focused, it's your, let's say, panic button. You will use it to disengage a lot. Next very important skill is the Signet of Illusions. The passive is not that important, it will create a clone every few seconds, but the active is really important, so it will reset all of your F1 to F4. It will not reset your continuum shift. So if you cast it, it will completely recharge for shatters, which is really important, because we will come to the traits, but the shatters are also very important for your sustain. And the last slot is a little bit more flexible. It's for most of the cases, and I would say in 95% of the matches, it's really strong to use Feedback. Feedback is a 1200 range skill, so you can place it quite far away, and it gives you and your allies in the region where the feedback is super speed and resistance, which is by itself quite nice, but also creates a dome, which is really nice because it will reflect projectiles. inside and outside. So you will have a safe zone for your allies, which is really good to disengage or to carry a team fight, because a lot of current specs use projectiles, so you will really help with your projectile hate there. And the last important skill is Time Warp. It's really strong. It's got nerfed multiple times now, but it's still really strong. It's unblockable. It's you last for 5 seconds. Every second it pulses quickness for you and your allies, and super speed as well. And for the enemies, it will they will get slowed. So in the first cast, it will also give super speed and resistance because of your traits. Your shield skills are, like I said, also really important because it's like a setup. So this stuns and gives your allies swiftness and might, and alacrity with the traits. Also, you want to use your shield 4 as a defensive skill, because it will not only block skills for you, but it will also give you and your allies protection. The 3 is, like I said, an setup skill, because you can create a clone, and then when you swap place with the clone, you will immobilize your target, which is really strong if you find the correct angle and maybe focus your target down after your emob. And the 2 is just a short evade, which is really nice, because you will have on a 10-second cooldown, you will have a 1-second evade, which will root you in place, but it's really strong for most cases. So you can evade a lot of skills. If you really think sword is not good enough because your auto attack is not that strong, it will remove a boon on the last hit, yes, but most of the times you won't get there. So if you say sword is not good enough, you're quite flexible on this weapon set, because you can not only put sword there, but you can also put it play with axe if you want. Axe is let's say a little bit more experimental. You have more access to clones, but you will lose your boon corrupt and your setup with your free skill, the no emob, but you will get an evade there, which is also quite strong because it's a leap finisher. So you will trade a little bit of stuff around. And like I said, shield can be exchanged for torch, or if you want, even the whole weapon set can be exchanged to spear. But like I said, the most important stuff for your healing comes from the rival. So your auto attack is a 1200 ranged projectile, which will heal your allies when it hits them. This is really strong. It's also an AoE heal, small AoE. And then your 2 skill will create a clone and will heal. So it's really strong that you put it in place and cast it on your allies or whoever needs healing. And then you have your 3 skill, which is really nice. It has 2 parts. First of all, you throw it, and then you can leave it there, which will pulsate Might and Fury. And if you don't want that or don't need that, you need the healing most of the cases in PvP. So you can double click it, and it will immediately pop and will give some huge healing and will blind and weaken the enemies. Also, it will remove 2 conditions. Be aware it's also a blast finisher and it's unblockable, so it's quite nice to use in team fights. Doesn't get destroyed by projectile hate. Then you have your Phantasmal Sharpshooter, which is your Phantasm on this weapon set. It will, after a short delay, it will stun the target if it hits. It's okay, it's not that strong, but it will also create a clone after the Phantasm dies, so yeah, that's why it's good. And then you have your Singularity Shot, which is a really strong skill. It will create a bullet that will, at the target location, give you some barrier and resistance. It's also unblockable, so can't be denied by projectile hate. And if you reactivate it, it will give shortly a portal for 1 person to go through. If they press F on this portal, they will teleport to you. So it's really important that if you use this as a portal, it will not only increase the cooldown of the skill, but it will also be important where do you position yourself, because the ally that uses this will teleport to you. So if you position yourself in danger, your ally will also port into this danger. So be really aware of when to use it and where you are going after that. So that's why Rival is really strong. Now to the traits that make this build work. Of course you want to run Chronomancer, you want to run Inspiration and Chaos. So all of the defense and healing you can get in the traits. In Chaos you of course get some regen when you use healing skill, which is really good because you use the healing skill quite often with the mantra. And you use Illusionary Defense, which gives you protection and you and your allies protection on your shatter, which is really good to deny some damage. Furthermore, when you use the F2 skill, so the Rewinder, you will get Chaos Aura and your allies will also get some boons from this trait. They will get regen every time you grant Chaos Aura. Chaos Aura is a quite underrated aura because it will give random boons to you and random conditions to enemies. So these conditions also include not only blind and weakness, which is really good, but the boons include protection. So it's really strong and it's really nice if you can give some weakness output as well. Like I said, you will get Chaos Aura, and Chaos Aura will give you regen to you and your allies, so more healing. And with this trait, it will also increase your concentration and expertise whenever you have regeneration, which is really strong. So you will want to have as much regeneration as you can get. And then you have a really strong trait, Bountiful Disillusionment. Every time you shatter, you will get a short amount of stability. It's 1 second. Sounds really weak, it's only 1 second. But if you use it at the right time, you can walk through Guardian Rings or Guardian Walls. So everything that you know it's gonna happen, if you press it at the correct time, you can deny it with that. It's only for you, but it's still strong. And every time you use one of your shatters, you will also give a boon to you and yourself, depending on what shatter is used. So the strongest ones, of course, Vigor for you and your allies. Vigor is really good, you can dodge more often. But also Fury is nice because not all builds have permanent Fury in PvP. And of course, if you use your Distortion, it's really strong. It will give stability to you and your allies for a little bit longer time, and it's 3 stacks, so it's really strong. Of course, the resistance is really nice as well, but you probably won't use it for the boon only because it's such a long cooldown and it's a really strong skill. And then we have Inspiration. Every time you use a healing skill, you remove a condition, which is really strong. Like I said, you have mantra, so it will cast quite a lot of heals, and therefore you will also cleanse a lot of conditions. So every time you use a mantra charge, you will get some more healing because of this trait. So the mantra by itself heals a little bit, but then you have the healing from this trait and the flock relic, so it will heal quite a lot. This one is not that strong. Every time you give Distortion, you will also give Ages to your allies. It's not that good, but if you can use it, nice. And then you have Temporal Enchanter. That's the trait why you get super speed and resistance on these 2 skills, which is really strong. Because this skill has only 25 seconds cooldown without alacrity, so you will have quite high uptime of super speed and resistance. And then that's really strong, this minor trait. You will get more healing to others, 15%. That's not to underrate. And every time you cast an illusion or a clone, you will heal allies around you. The radius is only 360, so it's not that big, but you heal almost 200 every time you cast an illusion, which is really strong. And then you have the most important trait in this trait line. Your shatter skills heal, depending on how many clones you have at the amount you shatter, and you will remove a condition. And this is all for you and your allies, so you can heal quite a lot and cleanse quite a lot of condition with this. And that's why you also want to run the Signet of Illusions, because it will grant your shatters the boons from this trait and the heal and the condition removal, and you can cast 8 shatters when you use them right after another. So 4 shatters here, reset, and then you have another 4 shatters. Now to Chronomancer. You will slow foes when you disable them. That's why it's good to have shield or torch or even spear. to get some CC on the enemy, and then they will get slowed. Slow is a really strong condition in PvP because the cast of the enemies will get slower. And every time you shatter, you will get alacrity, and alacrity is stronger but has less duration on you, which is really good for you because if you get corrupted, you will have more value from alacrity that's shorter but stronger. And that's really good. You will move faster passively, 25%, and you are also a little bit less likely to get movement impaired for a long time. And then you have stretch time, which will give alacrity to you and your allies whenever you shatter. But also, every time you summon a phantasm, it will also give some alacrity to you. So that's why shield is so good, because shield has 2 phantasms, so to say. And this one gives you 1 as well. You can swap this trait to this one. It doesn't change anything about your build. You still play the same, but you will give quickness instead. Instead of your shatters, they will now get alacrity. Not give alacrity anymore, but they will give quickness, as well as your phantasm summons. This can run both traits. There is no, let's say, better one, so to say. I would say in most cases, alacrity is harder to come by in PvP for all, let's say, builds. That's why it's more valuable to give alacrity. That's one point. And I think alacrity also is a really underrated boon, because it will not only increase your damage output or your damage output from your allies, because they have their skills faster, but it will also give the defensive skills less cooldown, so you can cast them more frequently, which will lead to more healing and more condition cleanse and so forth. Quickness is also really strong if you can put it out in the right time. So if you give, for example, a willbender the quickness, they can dish out a lot of damage in a short amount of time. So I think you should be careful what you choose. I think for most cases I would use alacrity, but if your, let's say, allies would really benefit from having quickness, you can swap to this as well. So that's for the traits so far. Now to the most important combos. So of course you will cast all of your skills when they are needed, because they are all healing skills. You don't want to do, or you want to do damage, but it's not important. So you want to heal as much as you can, and you want to be careful when you use a singularity shot, because sometimes it can be an escape for your allies. One of the most important things is that this build has a lot of healing output and condition cleanse, but it does not have a signet res like Elementalist, Tempest or Guardian. That's why you have to be really aware when an enemy is, let's say, pressuring your allies. You can't revive them easily. So you always have to use your press F or hand rest them like this. So it's really important that you know your limits when you can hand rest and when you have to, let's say, abandon the fight, or at least the rest, because you have no way of instantly rallying them. That's why it's really important to be aware when someone is low that you have to heal them, and don't let them in the downstate, because the downstate is in most of the cases the end, because you won't be able to rest them in the current meta. Yes, so I think in PvP most of the times you will double tap this to get the instant healing, and you won't use the singularity shot for its portal use, but be aware that if you need it, you can use it. And then I would always try to leave the mantra recharging, so that you don't have to channel it again. You can channel it again, but it will go on a huge cooldown before that, and you have to complete the channel, which is quite long. It's 2.25 seconds. So you have to be aware about that. You can decrease this, of course, if you swap to the quickness trait, but to be honest, that's not the most important thing why you should do that. And you can swap feedback if you don't like it, or feel like there is not a huge value of this skill. I think in most cases there is huge value, but you can also go for much of concentration for more stability, and also more, let's say, healing from this trait. It's equally viable. I would say in most cases you don't need it. You have enough stability access for yourself at least, from your shatters, and if you time the distortion correctly, because you can also reset it, will give you, for your allies, also some stability. But it's really important that you know if it's for some reason really needed, you can swap to this. Of course, you can also play Portal. If you are confident in your Portal usage, it can be a game changer. And if you really want a more condition cleanse and wound removal, you could also go null field, which is really strong. But for most cases, I would say feedback is the best choice here. Yes, that's it so far. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I hope to see you in the next video. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. If you want to see some gameplay of this build, be sure to check out one of my streams. And if you want to see more guides like this or other gaming related content, be sure to subscribe.